Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. I am going to take you all back to 1986. Molly, this is not a Roca story. Okay, so 1986, for some of you, I am introducing you to 1986, but for some of you, I'm taking you back to 1986. Then 6-month married Jay Ash comes back to his condo in Chelsea with his wife, and we go upstairs to bed and take down the sheets to go to sleep. And in the bed, there is a green sock. Robert, the only problem with that story is neither of us own green socks. Here we are, newlyweds, been married for 6 months, and are looking at each other, and we see this green sock, and instead of being suspicious of each other, we thought about how could that green sock have gotten there. Now, we were in a new townhouse in Chelsea. The first thought was the guy who was the security guard still had the keys to the unit. We weren't happy about that. And then we thought again, and we thought, well, we just came from the laundromat. And no doubt the green sock we picked up came from the dryer. Or at least that's what she still believes. The reason why I bring up that story is the trust that I saw exhibited between a husband and wife, Jay and my wife of 36 years, Susan, is foundational to the way that I operate and the relationship that I have and I believe that Roca has out in the community, trust. So trust is going to be an important part of what I talk about here today. I want to welcome everybody to Roca Boston. My name is Jay Ash. I think that applause was for the Roca Boston part, but I'll accept it as the Jay Ash part. I am the president and CEO of the Massachusetts Competitive Partnership. We're a trade association of 18 of the largest businesses in Massachusetts. We focus on economic activities in the Commonwealth. That's not why I'm here today. In my previous lifetimes, I had the great fortune of being the city manager of my hometown of Chelsea. A really great job, one that I miss every day. There's nothing better than actually being able to manage the community that you grew up in. I like to say that not only did I know where all the bodies were buried, but I may have buried a few of them myself along the way. And the reason why I bring that up is that the experience that I had in learning about trust is a revelation that I had in working with Roca. I've been a observer of Roca. I'm going to use the word observer a couple times today. I've been an observer of Roca for more than 30 years. Truth be told to everybody in the room, I wasn't always a fan of Roca. In fact, the first few years that Roca was around Chelsea, I was part of the establishment, entrenched in what was happening in the city and believing that every problem that the city incurred was from outside of the community. And lo and behold, this community activist came to town to not only tell us that there were problems in our community, but to tell us that we were doing the wrong things in the community. For the first couple of years, Molly Baldwin and I, had some tough times. I want to say it was nose to nose, but Molly was more like nose to chest. But just like I recognized with my wife that there was an explanation about what had been occurring, I knew that there was an explanation about what had been occurring in my community as well. And Molly stayed persistent, Roca stayed persistent with me, and taught me that, gave me the opportunity to realize that all that was broken in Chelsea could be fixed, but we had to acknowledge first that there was a problem. And then we as a community had to rally around anyone who was willing to come together and help us with that problem. And that was a great revelation for me in learning about Roca. I then went off to become State Secretary for Housing and Economic Development and got to travel around the state. And as I traveled around the state, I would go to many gateway cities. I'm a lover of cities and a lover of gateway cities, and I would talk to community leaders. I would talk to community professionals about the troubles they were having, and I would always ask the same question, well, who's your Roca? Because Roca became my North Star. I knew that when I had a problem, be it crime-related or community-related, neighborhood-related, I could always go to Molly and Roca to help solve that. So I would ask the officials that I was visiting in the gateway cities that I was visiting, who's Roca? And more often than not, I would get a blank stare. And at that time, I recognized how lucky I was in Chelsea and how lucky we all are to have Roca around us. Now, I've graduated to the board, and I'm on the board of directors, and Molly has given me the honor of speaking here today. And I want to start by thanking all of you for your contributions to this great story about hope and trust. We've all come together. We found our way to Roca, and we found our way to a great leader in Molly and the great team that she's assembled because we believe in the good of people in our communities, and we believe that for those who haven't had the easy path, there is a path ahead that can be better than the path that they left, if only they're given an opportunity to find their way, and Roca continues to do that. This week we had the opportunity to experience Juneteenth. I said experience, not celebrate. I observed Juneteenth this past Monday at a tremendous community event in Chelsea, and I say I observed it because I don't think we're in a position yet where we can celebrate that which should have happened a long time ago and still hasn't happened and has escaped too many. There's a day of atonement, there's a day of equity that is owed a lot of people in our communities, in our country, and around the world. And I observed people coming together and recommitting to each other that we're going to get to that day. When I think about atonement and I think about equity, I think about the work that we do here in Roca. And there's no celebration because the work just continues on and on and on. But the opportunity that we provide for individuals who, more likely than not, had a tough upbringing, had a tough start to life, and it only got worse. And yet, we all know that there are no bad kids, there are only bad situations that kids get in. And if we can help them find a path to being the best versions of themselves, we will be doing them, their families, and the community a great service. And Roca is the conduit for all of us to focus those energies. So I'm really excited to be here today. I want to recognize some people in the audience. This is one of those events where you really should go around the room and just have everyone introduce themselves because all of you are important to Roca and all of you have had a contribution to Roca. I'm going to recognize people who have titles, but Friend of Roca has been in a title that I've valued the most over the years, so I literally could recognize everybody here. I want to say hello to Paul Donato, a state rep from Malden and Medford, an old friend of mine. Paul, nice to see you. I think what I'm going to do in the interest of time, I'm going to run through everybody's name, and then I'll take one round of applause afterwards, and that's to make sure. Paul, you got overwhelming applause. I don't want anyone else to feel bad about not getting that, but I want to thank Suffolk County District Attorney Kevin Hayden for being here. I want to thank State Representative Liz Miranda for being here. Thank you. Former State Representative Kathy Ann Reinstein. Thank you. Thank you to Assistant Secretary of Public Safety Andrew Peck. Thank you for somebody for giving me glasses. I didn't need glasses for an old colleague from the State House, the Chief Counsel of the Committee for Public Counsel Services, Anthony Benedetti. Anthony, great to see you. Suffolk County Sheriff Stevie Tompkins. Steve, thank you for everything throughout the district. Acting DA Commissioner Mary Sheehan. Chelsea City Councilor Roy Avianeda. Senator Lydia Edwards' office. Eduardo, where is Eduardo? Eduardo. Marino Mendez, who I got to work with at MACP. Eduardo, you're an inspiration to all of us. Council Aaron Murphy's office is represented here by Lisa Searcy. Roca Board Directors President Christine Kendall and family. Thank you for being here, Christine. Thank you for being the light that leads us at Roca. Also, other board members I saw, Dwight Robson is here, and I want to thank Maggie Moore for all that you've done for Roca over the years. And I recognize City Councilor Richard Arroyo for being here. So thank you all for being here. So we're here to celebrate the next step in the journey for Roca in Boston. I couldn't be more pleased about that. We know Roca to be relentless in his work and yet patient with people in the process. And you know, the patience is an important part because as much as we all wish that things would change overnight. It takes days, sometimes weeks, sometimes months, sometimes years in order for situations to change and for people to be able to adapt to those situations. I learned as city manager that as much as you will it from City Hall, or when I was at the State House, as much as you will it from the State House, or when I worked in state government, how much you will it from state government, oftentimes the trust doesn't exist between those who, quite frankly, when you're municipal government, people in the community, especially those people that Roca reaches, may not trust what's happened from municipal officials. And so it's important to have that in between, that emissary that can go out and be in every neighborhood, can engage in long-term relationship building and develop that trust that allows for people to be able to, as I said, become the best versions of themselves. We all celebrate Roca because Roca has a proven track record in our communities. It's not just me saying this. Roca is invited to Baltimore because of the success that it's had in the greater Boston area and Massachusetts. Don't forget Springfield, 413. Thank you, everyone, from Springfield and elsewhere. Roca is an international expert, has been called to talk about the common problems that we have, no matter whether you're from the United States or someplace else, with giving young people an opportunity to do better in life. So the great thing about Roca is that, in addition to the record, which we all carry with great pride, it's about the work with people. And Molly, through you to all of your staff, the work that you continue to do is recognized as inspirational. And now, with this great facility here in Boston, with the support of the City of Boston and Suffolk County and the Boston Police Department and the like, we know that we will continue to have true champions in not only Boston, not only Massachusetts, but what we do best here in Massachusetts, setting an example for everybody else around the country. So thank you all. I want to give you an opportunity to applaud everyone I introduced, but in applauding everybody that I introduced, you're also applauding yourself for all the work that you've done over the years. So I mentioned champions, I mentioned City Hall. It's so great to have our champion from City Hall here with us today. If Molly was up here speaking right now, she would say that Michelle Wu took notice of Roca well before she got elected to be mayor. Molly and Michelle share a very special quality, or actually two, I would say. One, a desire to help every single person do better for themselves in their lives. And the second is to not accept the status quo. It's through innovation, it's through hard work, it's through showing up every day and committing and recommitting that Mayor Wu has shown an example here in Boston. We're so thrilled to have Mayor Wu here today, and we know that the relationship that we are cementing here today will continue on and truly make a difference in all of Boston's neighborhoods, and as I said, be replicated around the country and world. So Mayor Wu, it's a pleasure to welcome you up here to speak. Thank you, Celia. That's a good idea.
Good morning. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jay, for your leadership. Jay up here, though, getting into dirty laundry of his marriage, beef with Molly. I'm going to stick to my script, although I will say that I was in love with Molly and Roca from the very first time that I met them and knew them. Thank you so much to all my colleagues here. So grateful to serve alongside you and know how much you do every single day to ensure that we are looking at whole people, whole communities, wrapping around our services, and that you've been champions in this space as well. So thank you, Liz and Steve and Kevin and Ricardo, and to everyone. You are all titled in the work that we do, and we're so, so grateful. It's been more than 30 years, as you heard, that Roca has worked tirelessly to help the young people in our communities who are most impacted by violence. And so today's event isn't just a celebration of a brand new, beautiful space. It is a reflection of the ways in which Roca is meeting this moment, with expanded efforts to empower the young women and mothers so often at the center of violence and trauma and at the heart and foundation of our communities. We know that the efforts from all sides, the partnerships that we have been putting forward have been making a difference in Boston. And while we will mark, and as Jay reflected, we will observe and mark that violent crime has continued to decline in Boston, dropping by 15% last year. We know that the results of our census on unhoused residents, our homelessness census, showed that the number of unhoused individuals dropped in our census this past winter, even compared to the all-time low of the year before. Wraparound services, community outreach, and organizational partners make all the difference. At the same time, violence continues to affect too many in our communities, and housing instability continues to be the issue that I hear on people's minds everywhere across our city. As is the case with so many injustices, our problems are the most dire in the places with the greatest need. And that's why the work that happens here and in this organization is so important. Taking a wraparound, trauma-informed approach to addressing the systemic causes and catalysts for violence, Roca works with young people who aren't yet ready to engage with other youth services offered around the city. It's an incredibly important space and role that this organization and the many staff and volunteers and everyone fill. Roca's approach is unique in the unflinching dedication to people at the heart of our communities. And that person-first approach is evident in the policy that no participant is ever kicked out of programming for slipping up. It's evident in the collaboration with partners across the justice system, and it's evident in the innovative use of the latest cognitive science and research to equip young people with the skills and resources they need to move on past cycles of violence and incarceration. This is an approach that knows fundamentally that our young people need room to learn, heal, and grow into their own power. And this is an approach in and of itself which is evolving in terms of their reach and who will be able to continue passing on this message. So I'm very excited that this summer, Roca will expand and directly start working with young mothers in Boston. I remember sitting down with the team many years ago at this point. I can't remember if I was still pregnant or just newly had given, but I was feeling very emotional at that time about being a mom and knowing the services that were available, the expansion of that innovative programming, but being just out of reach of Boston at that time. And we were hoping that even though some East Boston moms would occasionally get tapped into the programming available elsewhere, this is in the heart of our city and our communities, and I am thrilled to ensure that young mothers have direct services and the home visiting programs and others that might not be reaching everyone, meeting everyone where they're at. This will supplement and ensure that we can truly connect with our future and the families that we are in such dire need of plugging into every service in Boston. So I'm grateful to Roca for dedicating your relentless approach to this particularly challenging aspect of community violence. In the same vein, at the city level, we're finding ways to complement the work of organizations like Roca, the Boys and Girls Club, by creating opportunities for employment and civic engagement for our young people. So just short, while I have the mic anyway, I will just give a short plug for our Youth Summer Jobs program that the city is running. This year, we expanded it to include 6,000 job opportunities available through the city for Boston's young people. That number, 6,000, represents 1,000 more than last year, more than we've ever had. But that number is only as meaningful as the actual number of young people who will fill the spots that we've created. And so most of all, I just want to ask for everyone's help today because we have about 2,500 spots still yet to be filled. We are working on trying to find ways to streamline the program and application process. And we know particularly with young people, sometimes we see folks starting to fill out the application but not make it all the way through. So we're doubling back and tripling back to ensure that all those who have expressed interest can get through that application process, but we need your help in plugging in even more of our community members. So You can go to youth.boston.gov. Again, there's still spots available, and it starts in mid-July, so we really want to take advantage of these last few weeks while students are wrapping up the school year or while they're thinking about summer to get plugged in. So congratulations again to Roca on your new headquarters. We're so grateful for all the critical work that you continue to do in investing in our communities and our young residents who need it most. And I see our partners from Multilingual Media here, so I just want to make sure we try to do all our announcements. Otra vez en español. Buenos días, estoy feliz de estar aquí hoy para celebrar la apertura de las nuevas oficinas de Roca Boston. Durante más de 30 años, Roca ha trabajado para ayudar a los jóvenes más vulnerables y afectados por la violencia en nuestras comunidades. El evento de hoy no es sola una celebración de ese increíble nuevo espacio, también es un reflejo de la forma en que Roca está afrontando este momento con mayores esfuerzos para empoderar a las mujeres jóvenes y a las madres que con mucha frecuencia están en el centro de la violencia y el trauma en Boston. Mientras que los delitos violentos han seguido disminuyendo en Boston, reduciéndose un 15% en el año pasado, sabemos que la violencia sigue afectando a demasiadas personas en nuestras comunidades más vulnerables y menos apoyadas. Por eso es tan importante el trabajo que hace Roca. Adoptan un enfoque informado sobre el trauma para abordar las causas sistémicas de la violencia. Roca trabaja con jóvenes que aún no están preparados para participar en los demás servicios para jóvenes que se ofrecen en nuestra ciudad. El enfoque de Roca es único por su dedicación a las personas, la gente que están en el centro de la violencia urbana. Este enfoque que da prioridad a la persona se manifiesta en la política de no expulsar a ningún participante del programa por tener un tropiezo. Es un enfoque que entiende que los jóvenes necesitan espacio para aprender, sanar y crecer. Este verano, Roca empezará a trabajar con madres jóvenes en Boston. Es una iniciativa que discutí con Molly y que el equipo de Roca hace años. Hablamos de los retos particulares a los que se enfrentan las madres jóvenes atrapadas en ciclos de violencia. Estoy agradecida de Roca por dedicarse a este aspecto particularmente difícil de la violencia comunitaria. Al mismo tiempo, a nivel de la ciudad, estamos encontrando formas de complementar el trabajo de organizaciones como Roca y Boys and Girls Club, creando oportunidades de empleo y compromiso cívico para nuestros jóvenes. Ese año, el programa Success Link, Summer Youth Jobs, se ha ampliado para incluir 6,000 puestos de trabajo para los jóvenes de Boston. Son 1,000 trabajos más que en el año pasado. Ya estamos viendo el impacto y todavía hay muchas oportunidades disponibles, así que los jóvenes que estén interesados en trabajar o en participar en la ciudad pueden ir a youth.boston.gov para obtener más información. Quiero terminar dando felicitaciones de nuevo a Roca Boston por su nuevo espacio y gracias por todo el trabajo crítico que siguen haciendo en nuestras comunidades, apoyando a nuestros jóvenes residentes que más lo necesitan. Gracias.
Christine, come on up. Christine. Slide it sideways.
The rest of the Boston team, you want to come up on here and just pop your face through? That would
Hey,
be
y'all,
great.
come up.
And we got Rod. I wanna
Terrence,
make sure
James,
that Rod's-
Edwards, come up. Top.
There he is.
let's have, we have everyone looking here, please? Everyone? Representative, everyone looking here?
Everybody look up, please.
I'm good. All right.
Okay, ready? Roca on three. 1, 2, 3. Of course.
Mayor Wu, thank you for being here. We have a couple of other speakers. I'm sure it happens a lot.
It does.
Mayor, thank you for joining us today. I know the mayor has another event to go to. Thank you, Mayor.
Oh, did I not have the mic?
Thank you, Mayor. I also want to thank Jose Masso for being here. Jose, thank you for being a champion in the community. Mike Firestone's in the back somewhere. Mike, thank you for your continued support of the organization as well. I would like to be able to offer this in Spanish as well. However, I took Latin in high school. If there are any Romans here, raise your hand. I will translate. No, Roman. Mayor, thank you for that encouraging and inspirational offer of continued leadership and support. We look forward to working with you and the entire city administration. I want to welcome up our next speaker. Robert Lewis Jr. really needs no introduction. I will say that oftentimes when I think about the male version of Molly, I think about Robert, and vice versa. So Robert, thank you for being an inspiration in so many communities. Thank you for being the great leader and champion you are. You're a friend to so many. It's amazing the work that you continue to do and the people that you continue to affect. Ladies and gentlemen, Robert Lewis Jr., who is the CEO and president of the Boston Boys and Girls Clubs.
First of all, good morning. Good morning. I don't know about you, but I was so inspired listening to our incredible mayor. Mayor Wu, just thank you. I mean, just thank you for being a leader, not just as the mayor, but your leadership throughout the years and your belief in community and your belief in our young folks. So thank you. It is so great to be here. And I walked in and I seen Molly. And one of the first things that I started reflecting on was over 30 years ago when Molly and I were both street workers. And Molly and I would walk the streets in Chelsea and in Boston. And at that time, who would have thought 30 years ago we'd be here today? Because at that time, we were out there looking to work with young folks, trying to save lives, and we were just going moment to moment, hour to hour, day to day, week to week. And now we're here celebrating your incredible leadership, your incredible vision. And Roca, no, but I'm going to say that, Molly, because you're very humble. We're here today because you've had a belief that has sustained itself. You had a belief in our young folks. You believed in a population of young folks that others wouldn't open up their doors to. And I'm just being real, calling it the way it is. And what you did is not just believed in those young folks, you invested in their talent, in their abilities. And you were working with them. You weren't closing the door. You were there day in, day out, weekends and all. And what you were also doing was preparing our young folks for also jobs and opportunities. I am going to give that plug that the mayor just said. There's still 2,500 jobs for young folks in Boston. We're all responsible to make sure we fill those roles, right? So what we know right now, there's not a young person out there that should not have a job. And thank you, Mayor, for just sharing that with us. But I'm also here because back in the day, I was a member of the Roca board, and at that time, really at that time was like following Molly's leadership. Jay said it best, and I don't know about you, when Jay was talking about the green sock, was I the only one wondering where he was going? And I'll be honest, I made a connection. I was thinking about the green shirts, and I was thinking, is he going to connect a sock to Roca or some colors? But I'm glad that Jay explained this. But but as Jay was saying too, the impact that Roca has had in Chelsea, but also somebody who grew up in East Boston and spent a lot of time in East Boston, the work that Molly was doing for families in East Boston. And at that time wasn't getting a lot of credit for that work happening in Boston. But I can tell you honestly, many years ago, as being the founder of the Street Workers Program here in Boston, I relied heavily on Molly's leadership, her guidance, her experience, and her wisdom. We are a greater city because of Roca. And I am going to take this second and just acknowledge all of the workers and all of the colleagues of Roca. I just want to say thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your work and leadership. But folks, there's more work that lies ahead for all of us. As Jay said earlier, it's great to introduce folks and we have the titles. But our young folks are waiting for us. We are morally obligated to ensure that every child in this city, every child, can grow up safe, healthy, educated, and in this great economy we have here, careered. Notice I said careered, because I know in the suburbs they talk about careers. In the city sometimes we'll say jobs for young folks, but we're getting them careered. And we're only going to do that because of the work of all of us in this room. So I just want to say thank you, Molly, from one OG on the streets to another. Also, your leadership, and honestly, not just here for Boston and around the country, but your leadership throughout, our global world. So thank you. We look forward to partnering with you, partnering with others, but let's go this summer, folks, because how about if we do one thing this summer, that all of us come back in September and we all could say, this was the best summer yet for all of our young folks throughout, really, our city, but also that we're partnering and we're working together to make Boston what it is one of the greatest cities like it is in the world. So thank you, Molly. Thank you for your leadership and all you do. And honestly, it's just an honor and a blessing to be friends, but also a partner with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Robert. That was great. Like many of us, we get to meet. I know it's easy. Like many of us, we get to meet Roca, and there's something special that happens here, and we get drawn in to be part of the Roca family and support the work that's done, the meaningful work that's done in our communities. Victor Gran from Architectural Resources Cambridge is another one who has got an opportunity to meet and know Molly and Roca, and has been so inspired that he has committed his professional services to help in places like this and other Roca locations around the country. Victor, thank you for showing up. Thank you for wanting to be part of the team, and most importantly, thank you for helping to design a space that is going to be a difference maker in the lives of all the young people who are able to come through here. Victor Gran.
Oh, wow. Thank you, guys. I think the first thing is standing up here, I feel a bit of sense of imposter syndrome, right? Like, what am I doing here with all these amazing people? And really, I just want to reiterate, this is about all of you, about Molly, and about everything that you do. And I'm just here to be a part of it, and I find myself up here speaking. I was talking to Solomon, the director of the Springfield Roca, a little bit earlier, and he was talking about his change from career, from working in the prison system in Connecticut to becoming the director of Roca Springfield, and said he was living out his mission. And meeting Molly, for me, in a way, feels that way. And that I've been an architect for a long time, and you make space and blah, blah, blah. But I feel like I'm working with an organization that is really having a tremendous impact, and it's really, really meaningful for me. So I thank you, Molly, and I thank all of you for making a difference to make change. And I'd also like to recognize my colleague, Tisha Bradley, back there.
I'm right here.
Oh, there you are. Who we're at the polar ends of our different phases in our career, but together we're here to help Roca. And we're just very grateful and proud to support all the amazing work that you do. There's so much work to be done to combat racism, to combat violence, to support our communities, and combat the deep inequities that afflict this country. It can seem hopeless. Amidst all of this, there's Roca, a beacon, a growing, unwavering, persevering model of hope. And they affect change by listening, sharing, connecting, and welcoming. And it's that welcoming, that embrace, that has made us feel so special and been so meaningful to me. And it's really an amazing dynamic, the way in which people are brought together, recognized as individuals, and that it's about kindness, compassion, and that kindness and compassion is transformative. And it's been for me personally. It's human, it's real, and it's about seeing people for who they are, and fundamentally about seeing people for who they can be and who they can transform into. So I'd also like to note that it's just amazing the way things happen. A former colleague who was here earlier, Gori, volunteered for Molly 20-something years ago when she was in high school. And it's amazing that Molly's ability to connect with people, to reach with people, inspire people, brought us together, and it was in a way chance that we met. And so I just want to say that I'm really honored to be here today, to be a part of Roca's mission, and hope we can work together for years to come, honestly, helping Roca create spaces that inspire, endure for the long term. And that I just want to reiterate my commitment to you, to Roca, to the organization. Whatever you need from us, we're here. So, and I thank you and applaud everyone in this room for persevering tirelessly to build others up. And your kindness and compassion are a gift to an often unkind world. And I'm just really proud to be a part of this organization. And I'm reminded of Obama's inspiration that we are the change we seek, and I'm just so grateful. So thank you all for all the work that you do. And thank you for letting us be a part of it.
That was awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Robert introduced and asked for applause for all the people who work out of this wonderful facility, will work out of this wonderful facility, and others that Roca has. I learned a long time ago as a government official that when I show up with the blue suit and the white shirt, I sometimes don't represent well to the people who need advocates. Sometimes I represent as the people that they've been running from for a long time. What I learned as city manager, I mentioned earlier, is that if you don't have people on the ground that the folks that you're trying to help trust, then nothing else is possible. And as much as I, as city manager with city councils and police department, try to make a difference in the community, it wasn't until we fully embraced the folks who can develop those trusting relationships that we saw real progress being made on the issues that we all cared about. Kyle Miranda is the head of the Boston, our Boston chapter of Roca, and we'll talk a little bit about the Boston program. Kyle, thank you for what you do for Roca, and through you to everyone else. We have a lot of pressure to put on you because we believe that you are the guy with a great team that can deliver, but we also have a lot of support to help relieve that pressure whenever you need it. So, Kyle, thank you for taking leadership here. I'll turn it over to you.
Awesome. I hear you, brother. I hear you. Good morning and welcome, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Let's get some energy. Let's get some energy back in the building. I want to shout out a few people before I start, both externally and internally, because, you know, as you see, the building is finished, but it just takes so much work to get all the pieces of the puzzle done. So first of all, I'd like to recognize Mayor Wu, Jay Ash, Robert, Victor, and here's where I want to recognize you. I want to thank you for supporting us and your commitment to young people. To our elected officials, thank you for your dedication to young people and your commitment to seeing a more just society. To our partners in law enforcement, in the Boston Police Department, in the MBTA, and others, I applaud your commitment to young people. I applaud you for being here. I especially want to recognize a couple of people from the DA's juvenile unit, Mike Glennon and Nicole Robbins. They're back there. Please let the people see you. Here's why I want to do that. Because, well, many of you don't know, but we work with 15 to 24-year-olds who are driving violence in Dorchester, Mattapan, and Roxbury. On a weekly basis, the DA's juvenile unit, Mike and Nicole, convene a group of partners. They convene the Department of Youth Services, they convene Boston Public Schools, they convene Youth Connect, SOAR, along with us. And every week, we discuss referrals, what we've done with those referrals, and we get referrals. So I'd like to applaud the juvenile unit, Nicole and Mike, for thinking different, for making us feel different, for doing things that are beneficial to the young people that we serve. I also want to thank our employer partners. Here's one right here. Please, let the people see you, sir. This gentleman is from Lou's Custom Exhaust. He owns Lou's Custom Exhaust, and we work with him on a weekly basis. He is an employer partner that gives young men like Roderick. Roderick, raise your hand, please, so people can see you. He is an employer partner in the city that is committed to giving our young people a second chance. So support businesses like his. I also want to thank mentors. There's so many people that open the doors for me. I can't thank all of you, but I do remember that breakfast that you and I had, and it was such a big difference. So thank you, Robert, and thank you to everybody that has opened up the city to me. I want to switch gears a little bit and thank some people within the organization. Joe Fernari and Ada Diaz. Joe, let the people see you. Many of you don't know this, but there would be no building, there would be no permit, and there would be no grand opening were Joe not in the middle of that. So, Puerto Rico. Ada is in Puerto Rico. So Joe, on behalf of Boston, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you very much. To the Roca Boston team, we have a philosophy at the Roca Boston, which is on time is late. And we stick to it 99% of the time. So there's a lot of accountability. There's a lot at stake on a day-to-day basis. I want to thank all of you, everybody who's in here with a green shirt, for showing up relentlessly for young people. To Molly and Scott, thank you so much for the opportunity to work with amazing young people like Roderick, but also to work with amazing partners and colleagues. Scott never gets recognized in these kind of things, so I want to pull him out a little bit. Let the people see you, Scott. So, Scott is the executive director of Mass, but he's not only that, he's a great friend and he's a great thought partner. And it's the discussions that we have on a week-to-week basis, along with Molly's pushing, because Molly's relentless. But this is why we've been able to get to a philosophy that is on time is late. So thank you, Scott. Roderick, our young person here. I want to say a few things to you, brother. Number one, to whom much is given, much is expected. So we want to see you keep doing what you're doing, but when you get to a place where you can, I want to see you pay it backwards too and mentor other people, because there are other people who need your example as well. So there's three things that I want you to remember about Roca as we move forward in the day. The first one is that Roca is a behavior change organization. We use a simplified version of cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, as you'll often hear us say. And it's something that we developed with Mass General, and it helps us to help young men become more aware of how they're thinking, feeling, and acting. It's something that helps us help them slow down. Why do we do this? Because after 30 years, young people have taught us that it isn't enough to provide them with a job. It isn't enough to provide housing. We first have to help them help themselves change how they think, feel, and do about unhealthy relationships, how they think, feel, and do about belonging to gangs, how they think, feel, and do about gun violence. The second thing that I want you to remember is that Roca is a systems change organization. So what does that mean? It means that along with helping young people, we are also interested in approaching our partners in a trauma-informed way. Let us not forget that many of our partners in law enforcement come from the very communities they serve. The final thing is Roca is a community building organization. We use peacemaking circles to bring young people and partners together to promote healing and belonging. So, 3 things. Roca is a behavior change organization, Roca is a systems change organization, and Roca is a community building organization. Now, we wouldn't be Roca if I didn't close with sharing a few data points. So, I'm going to zoom out from 2018 to 2020. Within that period, 4 out of 5 young men who came to Roca with a violent record stopped engaging in violence. Within that period of time, 70% of Roca young men did not recidivate within 3 years. And that's a 46% reduction from the Massachusetts rate. So please, Roca family, and you're all family now, you're all stuck with us. Please, Roca family, support what we do and spread the good word. Now, I want to take a little bit of time to introduce someone who's very special to our team. Many of you know him. He's a man of few words. He's been with Roca for over 18 years, perhaps 20. Tai, Roca Boston Assistant Director.
Well, good afternoon, actually. It's 12 o'clock, so I was going to say good morning, but good afternoon. I'm glad Carl said I am a man of few words, because I am a man of few words, so that helps me out. But thank you. Thank you to everybody, to our community partners, elected officials, young men, Roderick. Thank you for taking the time to be here. As Carl said, I've been with Roca for about 20 years. Sometimes it feels like 40 years, but it's about 20 years. There are many things that I could say about the work at Roca, many amazing things. But for today, out of respect to everybody's time, I'm going to talk about the importance of CBT, which our staff use daily on their work and on their personal lives. CBT has taught us that change is possible when we are open to awareness of how we think, feel, and do. Knowing that the brain is not fully developed until the age of 25, we will continue to use CBT as a cornerstone to do the work to help our young men feel, think, and do, and act in a pro-social way. I'm very excited about the new building because it is a great opportunity for us to build new relationships, strengthen old ones, and our young men deserve a place that is safe for them to learn and grow. So now, I'd like to introduce someone who's been in the program for a very long time, has made significant changes in his life, Roderick Hamilton, and you will hear more about it in the video.
Good morning. My name is Roger Hamilton. I'm 27 years old, and I'm from Mattapan, and I've been involved in Roca since 2017. I've had many struggles that young people don't often have to face. I didn't have a consistent support system at home. I had to face homelessness at a young age. I was involved in the streets because I felt that I can control more of the streets than my home. So my journey with Roca was just like, it was hard at first, because I'm like, nope, I don't want to talk to this guy. Nope, I'm good. I don't want to talk to 50 people that know Roderick, like maybe a handful, but not too many. I really wasn't that type of person, because I was still like involved in the streets a lot. So there was still like trust issues, just a lot of bullshit that come with the streets. So, and once I met, you know, the few people that was in the program, and like I said before, like they started to actually, once I start listening, it didn't really sound like it was like, oh, these people wanted you to say this. It was like, this really came from your brain. So like, let me listen, see what you got going on. And then once I did that throughout the course of me being in Roca, it was like, my outcomes were better. It was like, I get into certain shit like with family, friends, and it's like, damn, I did listen to Kev or Terrence or Tar or whoever was there at the moment to really help me figure it out, because it's like there's truth behind stuff. I feel like every time I had an opportunity from Roca, it was always a step up from the last one. That's the great part about it. Always, it was like, all right, I'm working in this brewery. Like, I know how to do all of this stuff. I'm on the canning line. I'm doing labels. I'm doing this decal shit. I'm like, all of this stuff is in my head and I'm doing it. But it's like, a couple months down the line, it's like, do I really like this? Do I really want it? Nah. And then it was like, all right, on to the next one. You know what I'm saying? This happens or this. So it just took a lot of time and effort, man. And plus, like, when I was involved in the streets, it was like, I spent a lot of time doing nothing. So when I did stop the streets, it was kind of easier for me to be like, hold on. I was just sitting over here doing this that had nothing to do with nothing, that could have ended me up in jail. So why not take that and just put it into work? I love both my bosses. I love my guy Biff that I work with. Like, these people are like not your average people. For me to come in off the street, have a key to the building, I'm running the shop, like I'm doing my thing, like less than a year, it's amazing. Like, I just love my job, bro. Like, communicating with people, working by myself, being hands-on, building pipe, bending it, welding it, like, I love it all. Plus, I love cars, so like, if it wasn't that, it would have been something else, but I'm glad that I stumbled across these people that actually gave me an opportunity to show them, like, who I really could be. For everybody in the world, man, just stay focused, stay consistent. Life is never over for anybody. I still got shit that I'm working on myself, but life's never over. I thought it was over for me 11 months ago. I thought I'd be back in the street somewhere doing nothing. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Roca. Appreciate it all. Thank you guys so much. I do. I really do.
Thank you. Roger, thank you. Your stories inspire us all to remain hopeful, continue to be hopeful, to do this work. So thank you. You're an inspiration to all. So I had the pleasure of introducing a very special person, but two quick stories about Molly. I'm pretty stubborn. I don't know a lot of people know that, but I'm actually really stubborn. I kind of like my peace and quiet growing up. A lot of people don't really realize I'm hard of hearing. So I had two hearing aids. I have two hearing aids on. So Molly was like, you either get a hearing aid or there's gonna be trouble. So of course, I got two hearing aids on now, thank you to Molly. But most importantly, Molly really pushed me to become a citizen. I put it back, and it wasn't until like maybe 5 years ago that I finally got my citizenship. So Molly is, I say that to say she's relentless in the work, but also on your personal life too. She really wants to see you grow and develop. So Molly, thank you.
I promise I'll be really quick. First of all, Rod, thank you. You inspire us. We're lucky to know you. I want to thank Carl and Todd for your leadership, the incredible Roca Boston team for all you do, and the rest of the Roca team and board. We are so lucky. I also want to thank our guests and speakers today, the OG in the room, there are a few of us. Our partners and friends, we need your help so desperately. There is so much to do. In closing, I want to say that at Roca, we believe that justice is a verb. It's not about what you say, it's about what you do. And also at Roca, we believe if you heal the trauma, you free the person. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.